Are there any other policies required that will maintain and enhance Westminster's diverse arts and cultural facilities or offer?
Well, I think just to pick up on a couple of the points made by the previous speakers, I mean, you could actually include a policy within the shopping chapters, for example, and indeed the taste chapter here, that positively encourages temporary use for arts activities, be they performance art or display art, for vacant shops, temporary vacant shops. I mean, I do an awful lot of work, as you know, for Shaftesbury, and they do that an awful lot. You know, rather than have an empty shop sitting there, they far prefer to fill it with an art exhibition or some similar activity.
And have you run into problems with enforcement on that?
No, because more often than not, by the time the enforcement officer gets around there, the use is packed up in his car shop. So, but it would help to know that the public authority is actually encouraging of that sort of use and activity.
Sorry, I don't want to turn this into the Paul Cutts show, which it feels as though it's becoming, so I'll shut up after this. I just wanted to pick up on the point there about particular types of landlords, and you know, Shaftesbury is quite well known for being quite creative in the way it thinks about its spaces, and I wonder if there's actually a role for the City Council to encourage that sort of relationship with other large-scale or even small, medium-scale landlords, to give them some sort of incentive to enable their spaces to be articulated in an arts and cultural way, whether that be some sort of temporary suspension of a rate or a reduced rate if they offer those what would be empty spaces to the arts and cultural sector, or some other sort of mechanism that would be a way of supporting that type of activity without necessarily costing a great deal of money. I mean, I'm probably asking you what sounds like a question. Give away some money, but I wonder if you know, by actually having somebody like the council come along and say, if you're a private landlord and you offer your space for this sort of activity, that there is some sort of meaningful benefit to them for doing that. I think that would be of great interest to many more people.
May I just comment on that for a moment, because we actually practically have nothing to do with the rates. All the decisions are, I mean, we act as the collection agency, but we don't set policy any more than we set the rateable value, or indeed we set the rate for commercial premises. So I suspect we're not able to have any flexibility in that.
Okay,
yeah.
That's entirely my own ignorance. So thank you for informing me. But I do still think that the council has a role to play in encouraging that sort of activity. That said,
I'm just wondering whether the gentleman who represents our corporate policy department, property department, has disappeared. But I was hoping he was sitting behind Brian listening to all this.
I think, and I can't remember not wishing to contradict you, Chairman, but I think there was some provision made that the government made in the rating provisions to allow the temporary use of spaces, I think, to charitable non-profit making organisations, and I think this came in earlier this year. Right. But I think there may have been some provision this year in recognition of the recession. I'm not sure of the details, and I may not be right. But I mean, there are various hurdles in terms of that you've identified, both the landlord side and the planning permission side. And I would say, I mean, that if you wish performance in a space raises a whole range of issues about public safety and other things which tend to be rather long and rather expensive to resolve. And I'm not aware of ways round that in a short order, but it's certainly, it's certainly worth raising. I'm just saying that I think its performance, it's liable to be much, much more difficult than display.
I just want to say, just for the record, our corporate property department has been really supportive about working with us on council-owned property to have straightforward exhibitions in there. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, then, if there's no one wants to comment further, we'll move on to the open